Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka like Queen Lisa. Today is a V-Steg day. There have been so many comms in whether it's Trump's Jesus memes or Melania's dresses. And we're going to jump into that and more right after this with Skullcap from V-Steg, the V-Cipher community, sorry. And there is a link in the description for you to join his V-Cipher community on Rumble and watch and educate yourself on kind of getting up to speed on all this kayfabe that's been going on for quite some time. But they put all of the symbols out there and you just have to choose to look at it and educate yourself. So I hope you'll join us and jump in the live chat if you have questions as well. He's great at answering questions. And we'll be right back with Skullcap right after this. Hey, Ben, thanks for joining us on another Skullcap SaVant big day.
We got to figure out a naming convention for this show, don't we? Because I don't think
I just do V-Steg with Skullcap SaVant, usually,
which is accurate, but you know,
things change so much.
I also V-Steg doesn't apply to everything that I have a knowledge base around either, and
well, sure.
Maybe we can figure out what to call the segment. Actually, I'm just realizing,
we usually work it in, or it works itself in, I guess.
But yeah, it's good to be here. I need this sit down for my sanity. I think just to get it out there. What about you?
Oh, I'm having a wonderful busy day, but I'm doing stuff that I love. So I got to just speak with Bix about, what's going on with the markets and the rigging and how it's all following the Ruta stuff. And, the derivative bubble being the ultimate bubble that, is going to be popped. And we're right there. And then he, of course, talked about how Trump's rolling out the new currency in June. Things like that. So we're right in that sweet spot of those dominoes falling, and it's not going to be necessarily comfortable. He was talking about, nothing works, so make sure everybody, have some food, have some water, fuel up your vehicles, just because we just don't know. And not that, if they start rolling that beautiful bean footage, which they kind of are nodding to with the, recent Wiener, I guess leaks are already coming out. Gosh, that sounds terrible.
Wiener?
Sorry. Yes. On Twitter, some of the videos are coming out. Just started.
Really? Like Frazzle Drip, the fabled Frazzle Drip, or what?
I didn't think that one, but from what I'd heard, it's pretty awful.
Well, it's gotta be awful. Anything on that laptop's going to be atrocious. But
yeah, including the golden files are on that laptop. And that's when they say
elaborate. What's the golden files?
So they called the Hillary files were called the golden files.
Even that parlance they used back in 2016, yes. Even? Oh
yeah. Yeah. They were called
I didn't know that they received an actual title like that.
Yes. So they were called the golden files. And that's why I always thought when they say gold will destroy the Fed, that they didn't mean physical gold. I think they could mean, because really our country is not run by money. It's run by blackmail.
And human production. I mean, an economy isn't really anything but the productive effort of the people. I mean, if anybody wants to read
by the derivatives and the money printing machines. So that's been falsified and stolen from us, the productive part, and that's the part that's going to blow up, is the derivative and the blackmail, the lies. When the dollars don't have any value, well, then the blackmail goes away. If all the lies are coming out, we're already seeing
the incentive to blackmail goes away, right?
Right.
Yeah, because the real impetus, the real drive, the real motivating factor to do all of this blackmail is because it's lucrative, right? And because you know,
power, yeah.
there's no questions asked. And so I think we need that.
Yeah.
I advocate for it. I actually, the enlightened individual does not become enlightened without the suffering that it takes to become enlightened. And people avoid that enlightenment. They avoid that suffering. As much as I hate suffering, I know the purpose of why I'm doing it. I'm suffering now, guys, bigly. My personal life is not fun to exist on a day-to-day basis, probably a lot like everybody else.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are having a hard time right now.
But it has to happen that way. I don't complain about it because it's necessary, right? I know that that's the phase we're in. I can recognize that it's temporary, which is good too. I know that. So there's not really despair that sets in, but damn it, if there's not some frustration along the way.
It's fair to say, you know, I mean, it's like when you work out a muscle, you're actually tearing it down and it's painful and there's destruction for then new muscle to regrow and be stronger, better, healthier afterward. But it's a painful process to get to the other side. But you can't just have new muscle. You can't put good muscle on top of bad. You have to destroy it to rebuild it. And that's the process that we're going through right now. And so
that's a pretty good analogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But through it all, like you mentioned in the intro, it's not like we don't have the cues from the players in the game that are casting the V-Stag on us, and just the comms in general. It's not always strictly steganography. That's the mode of communication here, but it plays heavily
and sometimes it's imaging and
well, sometimes it's just predictably programmed information, which is less steganography and just more neurolinguistic programming that way, instead of the steganography symbolism being embedded in anything explicitly, But this week was a big one. Everybody's up in arms about a few different things this week. It started off with Melania coming out on the podium, right? And that was maybe Friday, I want to say. And then because Saturday Night Live did a sketch with it, and they made a mockery of it on Saturday Night Live, I think, last week. But if anybody saw that footage, if you want to point that out, bring it up real quick, just of her standing head on at the podium in front of the curtain.
Yeah,
there were some things that people saw with that, but I want to point out a couple other things too that they might have missed. Yeah, here's the clip here. So if you fast forward to 4 minutes and 30, okay, first and foremost, hit pause for me real quick. Now I want to point out to everybody, just on this framing, we talk about V-Stag on this show, and I talk about it on my channel, of course, and it's a very specific glyph that's used. It's V is in Victor, is not the only glyph that's used for specific programming purposes, but V is important, as you've all learned, I think, by now, but for the newcomers, it's because it represents the 5 senses. The number 5 is the number of man. He has 5 limbs. He has 5 senses. V is the Roman numeral character of 5. It goes so much deeper than that when you factor in other symbols like V for Vendetta and the Guy Fawkes mask, and the Guy Fawkes mask that is input into the Q, and the 17 steganography as well. They overlap in a really big way. So the JFK Jr., V for Vendetta, all of that trapping is part and parcel why it matters. There's much more to it than that, but V, in a manner of speaking, represents the mind control apparatus that is being cast into the public. Okay, there's our primer. Again, I feel like I have to say that just every show, almost, just a little bit of an explanation.
It's right. Yeah.
So Melania, though, I mean, you see it now because we've been pointing this out, but yeah, draw the V, if you would, with your cursor there. Everybody sees how the curtain drawstrings and the lapels on Melania's blazer. Very interesting choice. She usually wears a dress. They chose to put her in a green blazer that matches the green curtains. Emerald City of Oz, anyone?
See, it looks blue and gray to me.
It looks It
These
looks
blue.
hunter green. I think it's hunter green if I'm
really?
seeing it correctly. Now that should be an indicator right out of the bat that what she is saying is shaded in a way that you need to look between the lines. This isn't an overt speech that she's making. In fact, a lot of people criticize what she said because, how could you not know Jeffrey Epstein? And that's actually not what she claimed. She didn't claim to not know Jeffrey Epstein. She actually said, I was in the same parties as he was. We were photographed together by happenstance. We didn't spend time with him outside of those events.
Right.
How the public interpreted this any other way, I don't know. She said it in very plain language. It's not hard to listen to the introductory statement that she makes. She speaks on that all the way until about 4 minutes and 32 seconds in, right? If you fast forward, I think it's 4:32 exactly, where the consequential moment happens that other people also saw, right?
James Carville and HarperCollins, UK. Now is the time for Congress to act. Epstein was not
4:30, 4:31, 4:32. Boom. Now the curtain is rising behind her.
Positions after this matter became widely politicized.
And eventually,
of course,
raises up to the whole window.
This doesn't amount to guilt,
right?
But we still must work openly and transparently to uncover the truth.
So just hit pause.
That was the right time. I think.
Well, the original post. I don't know if this is the original.
What she said is, to be clear, I did not have a relationship, and that's when it started lifting. So I think that
I think the timing. If you pause it just one more time, the timing we have on this. I don't know if this is the whole clip. The whole clip. Okay. Also includes the time of her walking up to the podium. So. As a measure of accuracy, guys, we timed this earlier in the week. Lisa and I did on our personal communications, where if you look at the actual full clip, the fully released clip of this, that at the beginning, where it also shows the procession of her walking toward the podium, getting set up and addressing the podium.
Yeah. So this is not
the 4:32 mark on that. That's when the curtain starts to rise behind her. Now, this is also very indicative of Oz.
There were other angles and different people taking videos, so it might
Yes.
But what she said was, to be clear, I had no relationship with Epstein. And that's when the veil started lifting. There's like a thin white sheer.
It's like a motorized curtain or something.
Yeah, in between the darker curtains, there's a sheer that starts lifting, like the veil is lifting.
And like the Oz curtain parting aside, because the drapes in the Wizard of Oz are also green with drawstrings on them. I think gold drawstrings, in fact. But it's very important, this angle. This angle is the main angle that everybody saw, and it's the V-stag angle. The other angles that are off to the side, you won't see the V-stag on the lapel. But there's the curtain there.
Yeah,
here's the curtain rising. So this is only a minute in to this clip, but again, it's missing about 3 minutes of context at the beginning from the whole procession of the ceremony starting for talking.
Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence.
So
there you go.
To be clear.
So there was no if you look at that, there you go. There's no denial. There's no nothing. So there's a massive mind control, counter mind control campaign going on with Mockingbird Media to try and shade that speech in a certain way. Then they pasted it all over SNL on Saturday. And all of a sudden, by the end of the weekend, everybody was talking on Twitter about how she denied knowing Epstein. It's like, that's not
what she said.
And this is what's frustrating for me in this part of the mind control war, is because even the people that learn, it seems, to look for these key items and to look for the deception and look for the artifacts of said deception, they're overlooking them when they let their emotions get in the way. And that's very frustrating. If you are one of those individuals watching, please fucking stop. And just remember,
I doubt they'd be watching this.
Your lessons that have gotten you this far, you know. I don't mean to be crass or disruptive to anybody. It just I realize probably most people in this chat, they're keenly on the same page. Yes. We're not worried about most of you. Yeah. But it does beg the question of when the disruptedness of people's minds will just be at that level of discipline where they can see it. It takes shows like this for us, it seems, to point it out and review it. So I guess it gives us something to talk about. But
well, there was also, as far as Melania, there was the announcement where she honored Whistler's masterpiece, which to me was like Whistleblower, where she was putting this art loan, let's see, authorizes landmark art loan to spotlight American master James McNeill Whistler. And when she did that, she was wearing, oh, it's not in this thread. She was wearing that white dress with the black swirl.
Yeah, I gave you the link for that one. It's the X link that I gave you.
Okay, it's called The Last Act.
The Last Act, yep. Is what the piece of art on the dress is called, right?
Right. What did you say?
Or the pattern.
You sent me it for the
it's the only x.com link that's in our private chat here on the side.
Yep, there it is.
There you go.
Yeah, so this is what, when she was meeting with them, it's from the exhibition Song for the Last Act.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is only a couple days ago. This was Wednesday, I want to say, or Tuesday. I guess it was Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so.
So she's, as she does, Melania's beautiful, elegant form, occupying dresses, is comms for the masses, you know?
Yeah.
And,
if you want to look, and we know that her dress has always been Trump's flag. Like with each president, they had something that gave comms, and I can't remember all of them, but Trump's has always been Melania's dress as to what's going on.
So let's talk about what the final act entails then, huh? Let's speculate.
That's what Bix and I just talked about. The end.
Oh, did you talk about the dress too on that? I
No,
missed
not the dress. But we talked about the final act, that we're in the final act of, you know, the road to Ruta, printing to infinity, the derivative bubble bursting. That's the thing that can't be kicked down the road again. And he was explaining the history and all the bubbles and everything. And now we're at this print infinity and the derivative market break, and that will be the end, and that it's going to be difficult, but we'll have the choice, you know, to transition, and hopefully the people will choose.
I don't know if there's going to be a choice or not. Depends on how you frame that choice. Mm-hmm. Because I think the circumstances are simply going to befall everyone, and you either adapt to them or you don't.
Well, that's true.
You know, I hate to say it that way, but I think the
indecision is a decision, though.
Right.
You either take action in your life or you don't.
Right. Which kind of gets us back to that point, you know, human action is your economy in that kind of a world. Mm-hmm. Do you know who Ludwig von Moses? Mises. That's what it is. Mises.
Yes.
Am I correct? And he's the one that wrote the book about human action, right? Human action in economics, or just,
I don't know. I just know he's a big economics guy that people mention all the time.
Human action.
Cases.
Human action. Here it is on Amazon. Human Action, a treatise on economics. There you go. It's on my bookshelf in the other room. Otherwise, it's not on the one right behind me. Like I sometimes just go grab them. But
where'd you put in the comments?
That book, actually, come to think, I probably owe that book another thumb through, because that's probably a good playbook for what we have to take on.
Well, that goes to That goes to Reggie's proof of productive effort white paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
surely does. Yeah.
With those same, principles, I would think.
And I think unless we're resilient to those principles and willing to take on that responsibility and action, we're not going to, well, the individuals that don't, because I can't say the collective we. I think there are plenty of us that are ready for the soil that's going to come, like the ash from a volcanic flow. After it's done, the ash is the most fertile soil, and that's the best thing to build from or to plant things into.
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
And that's why I've always looked forward to this time with great anticipation. Would it just happen already? Like rip the Band-Aid off. God.
Trust me, I know.
I just, selling any product in this market right now is a thankless task. There's, the trade routes being disrupted over in the Strait right now. It's just not what everybody thinks it is. And that's another thing that's frustrating me too. People can't even take on the pain of the gas prices right now. Yes,
the gas prices. Tim Burchett called out, I believe it was Tim Burchett, called out the gas. No, I think it was the treasurer. I think it was Besant.
Besant did, yeah.
Call out the gas companies and said, look, because basically they are doing the what's it called, price gouging, because there was no reason for prices to go up as quickly as they did.
Especially since we don't use that oil. It would have taken
not even our oil.
It would have taken 60 days at least for the nearest oil tanker to reach our shores where it would drop anything off.
Right. And so he told them they better turn it around just as quickly because they were investigating. And that's the thing, is the Treasury now 100% is doing more investigation, whether it was these fraudulent PPP loans. They're using the money, the track and the tracing of the money to find the frauds that have been existing for a long time.
Most of California, and that we have California to thank why we have gas prices that are expensive, frankly. Let's get into that another time, maybe, because it'll take us off track. But there's some brilliant talks that I would recommend people go listen to. E.M. Burlingame has been speaking with kind of a brain trust of folks. Tom Luongo's been part of some of these talks. I think Tom Luongo is somebody people know on this channel, perhaps, right?
I don't know who that is.
Tom Luongo was a guy that wrote, he has a newsletter called the Guns, Gold, and Goats, or Guns, Goats, and Gold.
Okay.
I forget which order those three. It's Guns, Goats, and Gold newsletter. And he is quite the mind when it comes to geopolitical analysis. And he actually worked for Newsmax from 2016 to 19, I think, as a political analyst, geopolitical analyst. Brilliant articles. He just didn't really have that much of a followership even back then. He's got more of one now, and he really has an eye for identifying key strategic maneuvering that's happening. And when he gets in these talks with these other folks, especially military personnel, he gets in talks with lieutenants, colonels, majors, and it's a good way to investigate what's happening with a lot of these flows of money and transfer systems, and really why in the strategic part of the war, the combat side, why Trump is not only justified, but kicking ass, it's going exactly to the committed direction that they wanted to take this in. Israel's going to get its head lopped off. Iran as a money laundering mechanism for Israel and the Bank of London is done.
Yeah.
And like we talked about last week, I suspect the silver flows are going to sovereigns all the while. Right. But aside from that, in those talks, you will find the analysis that we're talking about with the California situation. They go into it for like 45 minutes as one of the topics. Again, I forgot what the podcast was, guys, but look up just on YouTube. It was within the last week. Tom Luongo, E.M. Burlingame, and Brendan O'Connell. And all those guys have their own newsletters and Substacks too. And so if you found any individual one of those guys on Substack, I'm sure you could find, pretty close to the top what their analysis on that is. But again, it's California's fault. Why we in the United States have gas prices that are reflective of something that's onerously expensive.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it's good stuff for people to flex their minds around. But speaking of newsletters, I want to transition people from all the stuff that's going on now into maybe something they recall in the lead up to Trump's election in the early part of his presidency, before we get into tearing down the conflicts and the tariffs. People forget about what Trump's impetus for the tariffs are. And if we're going to go and we're going to knock this system down and we're going to end the current money transfer system in the form that it is, we're going to have a backup plan, aren't we? And we're going to have a regulatory environment that supports it, unless there's already a precedent for that. And that's what the tariffs are. And Trump modeled his early presidency off of President McKinley, if anybody remembers him talking about this. Can you pull up the article that I sent you about McKinley here as an aside? I'd like to put that up on the screen and show people another place they can go to investigate what it is Trump is moving us toward.
Hold on.
And why all of this decoupling matters ultimately, and why the suffering is in service of a better future.
Okay. That's the first one. It just kicked me out and made me want to sign back in.
Of Substack?
Yes. Okay, there we go. There you go.
So here we go. So this is this is an article. There you go. April 5th. Pretty recent article. I was not subscribed to this woman before I saw this. I didn't know who she was. It came across my feed in Substack as a recommended thing that I read. And since it had McKinley's name at the top, the president they buried twice, pretty enticing title, had to read it. And I got to say, I recommend other people here that are watching this go through and give this a read too. If you find Vivify Mariposa, Vivify Mariposa is this woman's name. And the cliff notes of this article are tying a lot of what my presumptions are with Trump's aims as of 2024, when I was doing the ultimate analysis on this. This goes back to the steganography on the attempted assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania, everybody, because the steganography around that event is unmatched. It's one of my opuses in terms of what I was forecasting and was so undeniably correct on. I was leading up all summer saying they're going to try and do something to Trump. It's going to be around this theme of the McKinley assassination. And it's going to have something to do with the fixed star Algol, the beheading demon star, the astrology of it, right? And sure as shit, it all lined up there in Pennsylvania. So the McKinley story is one that Trump grasped onto, because with McKinley's story, you have the most American president maybe that you've ever had, other than maybe Thomas Jefferson or JFK. You have somebody that wanted to bring in and sequester production within the United States to where they didn't need to go externally and buy anything from anybody. We were completely self-sufficient. He had just gotten done passing the Sherman-Silver Act and the Gold Standard Act to put us into a sound money basis, even more so than you could even argue that is possible today. I mean, it would take so much effort to get back to the let's say the status quo. There you go. That's where the status quo of the way things were back then, before the implementation of the Fed. McKinley as it's explained in this article, is somebody that went to bat for the American public. And because of his policies, this is in a time without radio. This is in a time without TV. This is in a time with basically telegram and newspaper or pamphlets.
Yeah.
He was so popular that when he went up against the degradation of the country post Civil War, let's just call it that. Things were kind of in a precarious situation after Lincoln's assassination. Banks kind of got their power raised back up, and McKinley was one of the bulwarks to come in with policy and prevent this from happening and implement the tariffs. He won the Spanish-American War. They weren't anticipating he'd do that. And it opened up the possibility for him to create a system of tariffs based on the sound money that he had legislated into place under his first term. And then where he was assassinated at the Buffalo Pan Am Expo, which was one of the world's fairs.
Right.
Now, this was symbolic of what they were trying to kill alongside him. There's a reason why they assassinated McKinley at the Pan Am Expo, specifically to show and convey the message that we are also killing off this initiative of the World's Fair. Because the World's Fair, for those uninitiated in what it was it's just a convention for everybody in the world to come to America and see how great we were at inventing stuff. And if they found any reason to license that said technology or product or intellectual property, they would have to pay us a tariff, and we would get royalty on their use of our ideological framework, or not ideological, our ideas and frameworks. And that was essentially ended to bring in Roosevelt. There's a whole interesting story to be had on that. I mean, he was the true people's person to go up against the financial institution. And back to that story I didn't finish. The article elaborates that 750,000 people in an age that did not have communications like we do, 750,000 people showed up to his doorstep in Ohio at some point to hear him talk, because he was so impactful on people's bottom lines, their livelihoods, and the sense of security that they felt from being Americans. This is a whole dissertation that deserves way more time than we can devote to it in a session like this. I think you guys are probably recognizing I'm trying to peel back my words and halt my language so we don't get too far into the weeds with this. But this article is a really great think piece if you're uninitiated about what Trump is trying to get us back to in the tariff way of thinking, and why the World's Fairs were also one of his talking points in the election process of 2024. It's all embedded with this stuff.
And the celebration for us this year will kick off June 26th, I believe, and run through July 10th. Yeah. Where we would have, in theory, some similar things. So
yeah, I think everyone that, truthfully, we've never really gained independence. Hate to say it. Revolutionary War was a good start, but took us 250 years to get to this point, and we're still not free.
Yeah,
we never really were. If you even look at the entire 19th century time period, it was a slog to maintain, a stiff arm from all of the Rothschild London banking system that was trying to encroach upon our ability to be productive. And when McKinley was president, we were so productive that we did not need to trade with any nation. We exported only. We did not import. So what do you think about that? Like, what do you think about how Steganography has conveyed this, and what Trump's plans are for this? And is it any coincidence that his very first executive order, very first thing he did in office, was to send the message that I'm renaming
Mount
McKinley, because Obama had named it Denali or whatever.
Yeah.
That was the first thing he did. Before he did anything, he wrote the executive order to rename Mount McKinley as a symbol of the greatness of William McKinley, the forgotten about, memory hold president.
Yeah. Well, I think this image kind of shares a lot of that, and we're at this point as well. Right. It's interesting that it's called the turning point. And, you know, of course, they used Charlie Kirk's thing to kind of flood the qualia with turning point.
Good insight.
Turning point. Yeah. But that's where we are again. And this is the path was chosen: rising wages, strong industry, American homes, sovereign trade. The path that was forced: Wall Street control, credit, debt system, Federal Reserve Act, shift in sovereignty. And we are at this point where, you know, and that to Oz, we will choose a path, you know.
Yeah.
So.
And Buffalo, New York is the pivotal marker.
I've been having all the Buffalo dreams. Yeah. That were my 4-1 Buffalo, which was my Oz Buffalo. Yeah. Bizarre.
I think people need to educate themselves about this man. England is doomed. Well, they're going to go through a really hard time, and many people in England, unfortunately, I don't know what to say.
Well, part of that, Ben, is that people are the same reason you're getting kind of frustrated with things is because people are forgetting. We all have like the attention span of a goldfish, and people are forgetting that, hey, do you not remember when they took the Queen's coat of arms off Buckingham Palace and replaced her guards with military guards? Like, this stuff has already happened, but we're watching the movie, we're playing it out for all the public, and and I think it's to lessen the suffering, to be totally honest. I think that's part of the reason of extending this is to rip the bandage slowly, you know. And I don't understand it all.
Do you think that they're doing that because they did an analysis of something and they determined that
they test run
people were too few and far between, so they needed it would just, I don't know. What do you think? Why do you think they're doing it?
My understanding that they did do test runs and that it would break people's cognitive dissonance for us to just suddenly face the truth when there's, you know, all of this corruption and cabal and all the things going on. I mean, people can't even, to your point earlier, they can't even, you know, listen to what Melania actually said. They just read the headlines of what MSM told
or they listen to SNL as if it was gospel. Yeah, it was a joke. It was a fucking sketch. And they're, you know.
Yeah, that wasn't what Melania is speaking. But they have to choose, you know, to look for themselves, and all this is that unpeeling. And so,
well, we're gonna get into the next thing too. That I want to get to that really frustrates me about the last week, which was the whole Jesus symbolism thing with Trump's post. But not to let McKinley again go off into the fade out of this particular program without another strict mention. If you could, and you all, and the audience wants to hear my deep take on McKinley, Ingersoll Lockwood, the World's Fair schemes, and the steganography behind it, the assassination included, I provided to you that podcast there from about this time last year. And there's another one I did the week prior to that. So that one's March 22nd, 25. I did this on the Phoenix Enigma podcast, where he and my friend Chris Devine and I, Chris is uniquely an individual who, other than myself, I trust that to know the steganography. He's as deep as any of my viewers have ever been with understanding the steganography research and the implications and the metaphysics behind it. And he became somebody that we started doing podcasts with on a lot of topics like this last year. This is a 3-hour episode There's another episode I linked there too. That's another 3-hour episode. If you click on that one next, it's the 350. Yeah, there's that one. If you notice, there it is. This one's Mark Collins Rector and the crypto cabal as they factor into this. The people in this community should be, pretty familiar with Mark and his exploits. If you could link those after the show in the description, Lisa, and if people want to watch these, I recommend it. And then if you want to see the causal analysis that I did back in 24 around the Butler, Pennsylvania incident and what I was discussing about William McKinley then, that's the last link that I just put in there. And that video actually brings in some of the moon presumptions about Artemis too. I was talking about Artemis back in 21 as the psyop that it was. Now everybody knows about the psyop of Artemis all of a sudden the last couple of weeks, but that's not the focus of this. It's just kind of an aside. The moon has always been part and parcel to the lock-in effect of these rituals. Saturn and the moon, the Saturn moon grid, that's what this painting behind me represents and conveys, is the mind control of your eyes deceiving you because of the apparatus. That's why I have this whole thing behind me. But there's some research for you guys to do. It's hours and hours and hours of content this week if you want to investigate and entertain yourself. But let's come back to McKinley in the future. He's hardly somebody that's going to be a footnote of ours. I intend to go a lot deeper with the character of him. I loved that article with Vivify Mariposa that I found this week. It was just chef's kiss, she just did a great job writing that. Mm-hmm. And so go follow her, Brian O'Connell and EM what's his name?
You said Ember something or something.
EM Burlingame. These are new guys that I've found in the last 3 weeks, and I'm just it's one of the only things that's keeping me sane is listening to these people talk about the world events because they have a good head on their shoulders. But anyway, on to people who don't have a good head on their shoulders is the entirety of our population that's freaking out over Trump's meme that he posted at the beginning of the week with him as the Jesus character.
The healer. He said he was trying to be a doctor.
I know. I love it. I love when he does that kind of stuff. It's so funny. It's so funny. And people take it so offensively because they think he's a blasphemer now. How dare you? You're the Antichrist. Everybody's calling him the Antichrist. And the latest thing today that I've seen is the 3-pronged crown character in the back. Mm-hmm. It's weird to me that everybody tagged it as a demon right out of the gate. And then they couldn't really verify, it's a demon. It's a demonic figure. What kind of a demonic figure? It is changed. It is very purposefully altered from the original image because if people haven't looked into this image enough and they've just seen the one Trump posted on his Truth Social page, this was actually a borrowed image from, I don't know, was it last 2 months ago? It was I think it was in February or something. There was a private account that had posted this image. Most of it was in the form you see here. However, you didn't have the veteran hat with Trump's. The veteran text got scrambled with the guy over his right shoulder or over to the left on the image.
Yeah.
But what was hilarious to me is right is on over his left shoulder as we're looking at it to the right underneath the jets, you see the Statue of Liberty. Mm-hmm. What's inexplicable to me is the Statue of Liberty is wearing the same damn hat as the figure up top, and nobody seems to tie those two things together. There's a symbolic resonance of what that crown is supposed to convey, everybody. And it's called the Radiant Halo. It's on our American peace dollars. Lady Liberty on the American peace dollar. Does anybody know why it's called the American peace dollar?
Tell us.
Well, the eagle doesn't have his wings. The eagle does not have his wings spread. It's the only coin in our mintage, in our mintage series, that does not have a spread winged eagle.
Huh.
The eagle is at rest. The eagle is at peace. The words peace are inscribed on the back of the peace dollar right underneath the eagle's perch. There's a tie-in to the radiant halo, the restful gaze, and the resilience and the enlightenment that comes with Lady Liberty as a symbol. So, like it or love it, this isn't a demon. Nobody yet has been able to describe to me what demon this represents until today. We have people on the internet showing some AI generated image of the front page of a book that shows the same figure as Baal. Look, it's the demon Baal. Do you see? It's on this book. And maybe I can find that book.
Well, if it is, he's being taken in by all the military who are surrounding him.
Yeah, exactly. So
what are
just as a starting point, before we even talk about the main emphasis of the photo, the thing that people are freaking out about the most seems to be that figure. And then you've got the folks who are also kind of freaking out because they think he's a blasphemer. They think that Trump is trying to take the place of Jesus, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking here. Here it is. I found this. The last poll. Here you go, Lisa.
Okay. This
is the book on an X post that people today are circulating around about the image. And what's really got me is you go back to the original post on this, and this is an AI generated book cover. So there's the original image. There's the zoom in on the figure. And then here you have an AI generated image of the front cover of a book called The Last Pull. And supposedly this is Baal for some reason. And this is AI generated. What? And it's getting shared as if it's gospel because people are so emotionally invested in freaking out.
I wouldn't even say that was what image that I've traditionally seen as Baal or Baal.
No, this is clearly a facsimile, a copy of what was in the other image. Somebody very clearly took a screenshot, inserted it into here, and said, "Put some flames and some wings around it, make it look demonic." And that, the stupidity of people.
Eyes, what you see. Yeah.
So if we actually examine the heart of the image, though, what Trump is doing, if we bring that photo back up of the main image of Trump and in his doctor garb,
he's bringing light and healing.
Yes, and there's also the figure that he's healing, which, for those who choose to see it this way, which is, I think, the correct way to see it, it's clearly JFK Jr. aged about 30 years.
Yeah.
From when he died. When he died.
Yeah.
When he was proclaimed dead. There we go. That's the way to phrase it. Now, this in and of itself is funny to me because, first and foremost, JB Sleer, somebody who's on X that is a history buff. You and I both follow him on X.
Yeah, he and I have been talking, and we're going to do a show together soon.
That was music to my ears. When I had no idea you guys even were talking when you told me that earlier this week.
Yeah.
But JB Sleer has a great affinity with these books on my shelf here. Right here. That's your Anatoly Fomenko history, fact or science series.
Yeah.
I'm not nearly as...
He's used AI to basically prove those theories to be true.
Yeah, he's doing some pretty clever work with the AI inquiries and things like that. And I really vibe with his analysis on this. And while none of us can be 100% true about anything, we're speculating on some of this stuff. It's resonantly accurate to me. And what you see in those history books, Jesus is all over them. Jesus is the main character, you can say. But Jesus is not depicted as a guy in a robe ever before the popularized mind control media got a hold of history several hundred years ago and decided to feed us this weird, like, Jesus in sandals and robe and disciple story.
Don't forget the blonde hair and blue eyes.
They didn't, well.
Blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus.
Yes. This is an inaccurate depiction. It's totally inaccurate. He only lived 1,000 years ago. He had a very impactful life, and he had a life where he kicked the ass of the Anatolians and Pharisees, and he fractured their operation. He drove them out of the Middle East all the way up to the Anatolia region and fractured them as what? The general of an army, among other things that he did. And in most of these photographs, they're not photographs. Most of the photographs in the book that are depicting paintings at the time, because that's what they had to depict things. They would paint oil reliefs. Every time you see Jesus, he's in medieval garb, regalia, suits of armor. He never once did a contemporary image of Jesus look like this. Every image that we have of Jesus that it has him in robes and is popularized in this symbolic representation is a fabrication, and it didn't come into existence until basically the 20th century. So that people are so feeble-minded as to tie this character here that Trump is dressed up as a Jesus figure, just because it kind of looks like the garb that we, in our minds, have fashioned Jesus to wear, doesn't mean anything in an accurate sense. So what it actually conveys, in my eyes, is if you'd pull is a chapter in the reset playbook that Trump started to cast into the environment in 2016 when he was first elected. There was a cover of The Economist magazine. Everybody probably knows the 1988 Economist magazine. It was the most famous one with our Phoenix and our 10-cent dollar piece on the front and the dollars up in flames. The Economist magazine, ever since that image came out, it's always kind of been this indicator to the Steganography crowd out there that shows perhaps what's planned for in the world stage. Every year, The Economist magazine now does a year in review, or a year ahead, rather. It's a year ahead magazine that they release in January every year. It's their thickest one. And it's kind of like the playbook that the elites are going to be taking, and they're embedding the steganography for their plans throughout it so that they can subliminally control you. On the cover of the one in 2017, it was called Planet Trump. And it's interesting that the one card that Trump is depicted in is the Judgment card, and it's tilted. These are all actual representations of real cards in the tarot deck too. These are all major arcana, and they all kind of tell a story as to what's going to progress through these times. Consequential to you and I think it's kind of funny that the Hermit in the top right corner has a cracked earth and TIPP or TTIP in one of the signs. Tip. We just got done reading the Oz comic last week.
And that has an X on it, right? Yeah,
it's Xing through the flag that the people are carrying that says tip. Now, TTIP is the Transatlantic Trade Partnership that was disbanded in 2017. However, I think it's interesting that, you and I came across that artifact. Whether that's just qualia or not, I don't know yet. I just thought it was funny that we have that represented in the top right corner on the Hermit card. But the thing I want to draw people's attention to is the Death card down in the bottom left has a nuke going off on it. with a sun behind it.
Yeah.
As if the nuke is not necessarily a foregone conclusion, and it could be misdirection with blinding by the sun. You know, there's this whole thing with Horus and Jesus. Jesus is represented as Horus in Egyptian lore. That's another thing that history, factors, science or fiction will teach you, is that the character of Horus that's on the reliefs of the Egyptian pyramids and, you know, all of the megaliths around Egypt, not just, you know, it's mainly not the pyramids actually where you find the hieroglyphs. But do you know the character with the hawk head? He's usually pictured with Isis. That's Horus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Isis has two horns, like the constellation Taurus, and has Venus, the planet Venus, right in between her headdress. So she's got two horns. Venus, she represents the goddess. This is Mary. This is Jesus's mother. Horus represents Jesus himself, the son. It's strongly thought, if you follow Anatoly Fomenko's work, that Jesus, when the whole story that we know of Bethlehem, right, where he was taken away, he was born in Bethlehem, but then taken away, and then where does he go? We know nothing else about Jesus, about his younger life. It's not transcribed in the Bible.
It's not. Mm-hmm.
So where did he go? Where did he grow up? What were his exploits? What did he do? What did he learn? So the reliefs in Egypt, in Anatoly Fomenko's mind, are a story of Horus, Jesus. Did Jesus go to Egypt and grow up? It sure looks that way. It looks like he spent his formative years in Alexandria and Egypt amongst the astrologer priests, perhaps went as far east as India to learn more from the mystics, went to Iran to learn from the philosopher kings there. People forget that the three wise men were from Iran. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing. And did they really follow the star, or were they told of this occurrence? What connection did they have with the Essenes? These are all very, very, very deep questions that go beyond the pale of the Bible. And, you're not supposed to ask what Jesus's childhood was about, but it's about Horus, okay? Back to Horus. What does Horus represent? Horus represents the hawk. He's got a hawk's head. The reason why they would depict Jesus like this, because Horus at some point when they depicted him was just a little human boy. He was just a little human boy. There's adolescent Jesus on the side of the walls in Egypt, right? And as he grew up and gained initiation into the secrets, he was depicted with the head of Horus. The reason why the hawk matters, Lisa, is because the hawk is the only bird of prey, or I think of any of the birds in the animal kingdom, that has unique enough lens structure in their eyes to where they can look directly into the sun and not be blinded by it. It's a really, really deep metaphysical, symbolic context, right?
So on April 10th, Dan Scavino posted the hawk's head, the eagle's head.
Oh, did he?
Just the head.
Just the head. Yeah. Now, eagles don't have that ability, by the way. Eagles do not have the ability like hawks do to fly directly into the sun and look at it and not be blinded by it. They have to turn away.
It's not considered part of the hawk family? I always thought the eagles were in the hawk family.
They're closely related. They're all raptors. They're all in the raptor categorical way of thinking about things, but they're different. That's what makes hawks unique, right?
Okay.
So if you go back to this, the sun being behind the nuke might have something to do with seeing through the bullshit as related to the scare effect of a nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
Next to that, very consequentially to the post that Trump made, is our magician card. Now look how the magician's dressed. The magician's in white robes with a red drapery going over both shoulders.
Yeah.
The exact same garb that Trump is wearing in the meme where he's healing JFK. The infinity symbol is above this magician. The sun is behind him. And the VR goggles are on instead. This is the opposite, I would say, of your hawk. But what were you just talking about the infinity symbol representing, right? We were just talking about the infinity symbol.
Infinity and
yeah. What is he doing? He has a 3D printer in front of him where he's pressing the button on the 3D printer for houses.
And we know this bond crisis is going to affect the houses, and they let anybody get a mortgage for so many years. And that's what, was part of this. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
There's more to this than we can probably go through today because, we're at the hour mark of our show.
Yeah.
I can talk to you about this for 30 more minutes about what's going on in here.
We'll just touch on the tower.
Do you see there's a crucifix on the tower card alongside a communist flag?
Right. So keep going just from the magician. So we kind of walked through all this and got to the magician. So if that's where Trump was saying we are here now, the infinity money printing, the housing market, 3D printing, we are going into the Wheel of Fortune.
And if this is a progression, if this is a linear progression, remember, This is 2017.
That's true.
You know how Jenny reads tarot cards? They all tell a story kind of simultaneously. Usually when you draw a tarot deck, they kind of all interoperate as the spread. It's not really a chain of events unless the reader kind of interprets it that, I see. I see the linear chain of events through the cards. It's kind of up to the insights and the intuition.
Well, and there could be no time involved. It could be all these things happening at once.
It could be the whole play. This just takes 12 years to play out, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's really funny that the VR goggles on the magician here, people are so blinded by the virtual environment that they aren't seeing the symbolism cast in front of them because of it. Because why? Well, people's comments and people's opinions, and it's dirtying their own intuition to see the cards. Literally.
Yeah. There's a movie that I just watched called something Outcome or The Outcome, and it's got Keanu Reeves in it. And it's literally it's kind of mirroring probably his real world experience, being a little boy, being famous, growing up in whatever. And then all of a sudden he's too well loved, too well liked. They're like, you really nothing. Well, somebody videotapes him or something, and this video is found later to then blackmail him. And all of a sudden his people around him, all the people that, promote him and this and that and agents and whatever, are like, yes, this is going to make you filthy rich because now you're a victim. You were filmed without your consent. So now you're a victim because in the age of Kardashian, our society has changed from creating things and productive effort and all that into this, no, but I'm a victim of.
Or just straight up, I need attention. Attention is my lifeblood, And
attention is our economy, but the being a victim is the winning, having value. You have value if you're a victim instead of you actually producing something or doing something. So it's really living in this victim mindset mentality that our world has kind of fallen into.
You're a victim. You deserve welfare. It's your right. Yeah, that's the whole trick, right?
Yeah, it was really interesting. So anyway, if you guys want to watch that, I mean, it kind of is. It's a play on what our real world is right now.
Yeah, I would, with the week's events, guys, I would just implore you moving forward. It's only going to get weirder.
Tomorrow's the 17th. I mean,
right. And the symbolism is just going to keep coming. It's there for you to see. I mean, if you understood the Q posts at all when they were actually real, before they got taken over, when the trip codes changed. Remember, I'm a unique individual, and I think halfway through the Q posts, they got taken over, and it was now a different entity that was broadcasting.
They went to 8chan, you mean?
That was part of it, but the trip codes changed when it was even on 4chan. There were only about 9 months or fewer. There were like between 8 and 9 months of real Q posts in my eyes from October 30th, 2017, which was, remember, they lined up with the Stephen Paddock shooting in Las Vegas. They came out the same night as that. That was the first of the Q posts. So you have to take that into consideration too. That's part of the tapestry. That's our kicking off point.
Yeah.
Is the Las Vegas shooting.
See, and I was saying like this war, when I was talking with Bix, like, I mean, you can say it started when JFK was killed, or you could say even this most recent stream is since COVID. There's been a new phase of war. But then I would agree with you that the Vegas shooting was a pivotal. I think that was maybe the real turning point, or whatever, the control.
It was the throwing down of the gloves moment kind of a thing, you know?
I really think that was.
It was the first time that even some of my lower rung with it friends, you know, like people that are normies that were still my friends at the time.
Yeah.
I was attempting from like 2013 onward to at least share with them that sports were rigged, you know, like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I couldn't even get into like 9/11 or anything with anybody.
Yeah.
But sports being rigged and the gematria that's encoded within it as a starting point. Yeah. So it's a very interesting planned agenda that you can see through the tapestry of sports. Mm-hmm. Why they're doing that way? Well, you needn't look any further than the numbers on the back of the jerseys, the names, and the symbols on the side of the helmets and shit. It's all symbolism. It's all a casting mechanism. It's, you know, so even those people that would deny me for 4 years, when 2017 came around, I was with the Las Vegas shooting. They were wanting to know everything they could. Like, what the hell? This is kind of weird, right? I don't know if that happened the way it did. I had friends there, and they got away, but they said people actually died, and I was like, I think they did. That's part of the confusion, you know. And
yes, mm-hmm.
And it's no mistaking that Q came onto the internet that night, like for a reason, for a very specific reason. And I think
so that was the launch of the Army.
Was the launch of Q. That was the event that coincided with the launch of Q.
And that's
for whatever reason, Lisa, I was there for the first post. I had just found 4chan maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
That's what was funny about it. I followed the entire thread live. I'll always remember it. I contributed to the boards, and
yeah,
I was there live as the way they would do these posts. Did you ever go on to 4chan?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if anybody is unfamiliar, 4chan was an archive. You couldn't change the record once it was put in place. It's like a blockchain. Mm-hmm. And they had these threads of 150 posts a piece that was like your block. And once the block had completed, it locked into place on the secure ledger, and it posted. And so you had a series of endless stream of 150 posts a piece. And within there, anybody could post. Q could post, you could post, whatever. But there was a specific channel that Q was posting within. And so people started to follow this, and it became really weird because the feed got dirty quick with porn, gore, and that was what made it really difficult early on for me to follow the thread, is because you'd have to go through these 150 post sequences and mine out the people that were actually involved in contributing. And then there were a bunch of charlatans in there just posting, like I said, gore, porn, just the worst crap that you could possibly imagine. But it was beautiful at the same time, because you wouldn't believe how many books I found out about, PDFs of books that were banned, that weren't posted anywhere on the internet, that I downloaded straight out of there. I mean, it was a clinic. And we need to remember that time for what it was, but we also need to remember that it wasn't Q the whole time. Whoever Q was, as a collective, as an individual entity, maybe JFK himself, JFK Jr. himself, it was only about 8 months worth of clean posting from Q before the trip codes changed and it became a different entity. It seems the vernacular changed, the The cadence of the posts changed. It wasn't the same entity. But here we are. Is JFK Jr. going to get revived? Is he coming back into the limelight? Is the sun going to shine on him once again? Is the time ritual over? What do you think?
I mean, I think we're in it and watching the movie, and it's if people choose to see, they'll know. There are things that people don't want to know. There are things that they're okay and complicit with. And, some people will never leave the slavery system, and that's their choice. But it's for God created us to have free will, and it's for all of us to choose for ourselves what path we want to take. And we can hope and share with friends and hope that they share with us, so that's how we become more together, because that's the only way it works, is that community comes together and we're more together. And that's the God piece, because no one person can be, the know-it-all, be all. That's just not the way God set it up. We need each other. We need to need each other, And
nothing beats getting with somebody that actually has experience in the domain that you want to learn anything about. A book will never teach it to you. A school system will never impart it to you the same. We need to get back into communities in this. We need to cherish what we've been given with this collapse and not repeat the same pattern and try to rebuild the same shit. Yeah. That's going to be the trap I think we fall into, right? Well, that's the trap
that crypto fell into. They had the path of freedom, and they said, "Oh, banks, please acknowledge us. Oh, govern me harder, daddy." That was the destruction. Then the ETFs came and all that, and that. So there's many paths, but we can't keep repeating. That's the whole insanity thing. You keep repeating the same thing and expect.
That's actually not the definition of insanity, by the way.
Well,
that's something Einstein said.
Definition of insanity, but that's the saying that makes a hell of a lot of sense.
I know. It's
so.
Anyway. People attribute that quote to Einstein because he did say that, but it was one of the dumbest things that anybody's ever said. Because insanity is actually something of not a repetitious mistake, because that's just almost being foolhardy more than anything. Insanity is when you actually have a clinical condition that imparts on you a deficit for your brain functioning capacity, kind of a thing. Whether it's repeated mistakes, whether it's anything, I think there's a psyop just in that term, is why I'm saying anything about it. Because I think there's a dissuading away from trying the same thing over and over and over again. No, especially if that same thing is the thing that will work, and it just takes multiple attempts to get it to
it wouldn't be exactly the same. It would have
not exactly the same, but I argue that's what we're going through in 250 years, right? Like revolution happens in 1776. Attempt, many attempts to just lock it into place. We can't seem to lock in our freedom, right? We can't seem to lock in the effect. Is this the final attempt where we'll actually lock it in? Will we take the wisdom from the founding fathers? Like Benjamin Franklin famously said, you'll have a republic for as long as you can keep it, right? Like,
yeah. But I think we always have freedom, but we opt out of it.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And we got to keep resilience up. I think there's a little bit of a psyop in that phrase. You know what I mean? Anything Einstein said, I think, is a psyop, truly. That little fuzzy-haired crackpot that he was. But you see what I'm saying? I'm not actually arguing with the sentiment, but I would encourage people to try things that will work until they finally do. You'll know if it's the right solution, right? There's a reason why I broadcast the VSTEG stuff. I feel like I'm screaming into the wind sometimes with this, because it doesn't seem to click with people, but it is not going to negate my attempts to get it out there, to get it locked in, to finally get it to the mainstream where people understand it, So that's my nuance is all to that kind of mindset. And I think we just need general resilience, though. What do you think about how I think about that?
I think you put a lot of thought into it. Yeah. I think we'll get there. I think more and more people, I think there is a silent majority still. I think more and more people are, choosing to learn, listen. We're watching, doctors make confessions. We're watching people start to take responsibility for their health. Our food system's changing. I think a lot of it. So it's all these little choices every day that we make with how we spend our time, give our energy, attention, all of that. And that's
I'll see you all at the next 250-year anniversary, because we're all going to be so healthy after this that we'll live that long.
Oh God, Mom said Cliff was talking about that people was it in the 90s? Crap, now I can't remember what she said, but something about like if you're 50 in the 90s, you would live to be like 100.
Oh, I know what she said. Yeah, Cliff had an audio maybe this week.
Yes, yeah.
And his first audio in a while. I just listened to that yesterday, and he said, she's correct. He said that there were some BBS boards back in the internet days, the early internet days, that he would frequent, and there were some old farts like him, as he says, that are on there, and that even at the time I wasn't that much of an old fart yet, or whatever he said.
It goes.
But the point is that they were saying if you're 50 now in 1993 or 4 or whatever he's saying, the goal was for those individuals to live to 90, because if you could get to 90, we would have the technology by then to where you could live for 90 more.
Oh God.
Something like that, right? Like that. And that was the idea of these smart fellows that were all exchanging ideas on the BBS boards. And the pure internet days, before it was censored, before anybody could track you. Oh, it was glorious. We have to get back to that somehow. We have to get I don't know how you do it. I'd have to really think about it. It's probably going to take that analog technology that Cliff was talking about.
That would make
Cliff
sense.
was talking about these new computational AI programmatic discs that were analog devices, but that they would operate computationally different than a semiconductor chip. It's not a digital technology, it was an analog technology. And there's some sort of holographic, natural interoperability with the environment around it that makes it work, kind of like a quantum computer with our thoughts and consciousness, And I don't yet know exactly how that is all going to factor in, or functionally how it all works yet. I need to look a lot more into that burgeoning tech. But it might take something like that to where we get our free open internet back. Until then, use Yandex.
We'll get there. Yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you again, Ben, for joining us. And you guys, I will put those links in the description below of his 2 Rumble interviews, because they were on other channels. They weren't on his vCypher community, but there is a link to join vCypher community on Rumble in the description below. So check that out. And we'll see you guys next
those Ingersoll Lockwood shows, guys, I am probably going to go back and watch them myself, because I need to refamiliarize myself with my own insights sometimes.
There you go.
Anyway.
You'll be watching right along with Ben. All right. Yeah. You guys take care. Thanks again. And we will see you tomorrow on Happy Hour, followed with a very exciting drawing for, we'll announce the winner of the
flash that up.
Donation.
Give a plug to Reggie's stuff. You've got visuals for that, don't you?
Well, this is not for Reggie. This is for the DAO. So this is for
the DAO. The DAO is
legal fees and development, developers working with Reggie's protocol. And it's called something, and I can't remember what it's called.
So this is to help cover some much needed development costs because they're using their time to further the initiative, correct?
Yes, and funds. It's up to 10150. Hey. So this package includes 3 Road to Ruta coins and a 10-ounce rutabar. So 13 ounces of silver. There's one Veritasium coin.
Oh, I know those, but the ones that Josh made, the ones that Josh designed, that rutabar,
I guess.
But it was the one that, yeah, I think I know the one.
I can pull up a picture here in a sec.
It's got like an American flag or something on it.
Okay. There's also a way that you can enter by getting a raffle ticket as little as $25, and per donation you'll have entries, and then you can pay in crypto as well. If you do, then they send you a form, or it populates a form where you can put your crypto transaction in your email, and so they can contact you that way and identify you that way through your crypto donation. So that is all.
So what do you win for the raffle? Because I don't know if you said, because
obviously the raffle, yeah, it's a signed. That's the ones with the signed. Let's see, donation raffle. You can choose between a Veritasium smart metal, so a Veritasium round silver, or a signed copy of the 1981 and signed by Bix, the Wishes and Rainbows, the original one, signed by Bix.
So and 2 raffle winners total will take one prize a piece, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go buy a raffle ticket. See if I win.
That's great. Yeah, just think it's everybody's way they can join the fight to freedom and free markets and support actual, people working on the protocol. So
yeah, I've also supported the effort by buying some of those coins off of their site, off the Quantum Metal site. And I recommend everybody, even if they don't win the raffle,
they're not coins, they're rounds.
They're rounds. They're medallions, if you call it anything. Yeah, they are Veritasium medallions that have an NFT embedded in them that will allow you access to Reggie's AI bot platform when the new trading system is live.
The only things promised at this point is you get the silver and it has an NFT on it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
what's worth it to pay the premium. It's a $367 medallion, so you're paying a $300 premium, but you get a guaranteed.
It was $120 in Shanghai yesterday.
Oh, so. I know. Yeah, it was 100. It jumped 178 for a minute in Shanghai. It was ridiculous.
So if we're at the magician and the magic money printing machine and the infinity symbol, it's all kind of playing out. So
cool. Well, anyway, sorry to keep you guys longer, but that's important to me too, that everybody supports the VeriDAO. And so
yeah, and it's the Veritasium community. It's all just volunteers that are token holders and want to see the free markets and Reggie's protocol come to real life use. Right. So it's just how it is. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
See you next time.